back to another episode with me. Thank you guys for joining me in another video, and I hope you guys enjoy. Before we get too deep in the video, of course, I want you guys to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. And if you want to see more content like this, my content specifically, and you want to be right on time when I post, turn on your post notifications so you don't miss a beat. Okay? Thank you. Now, today's video is going to be about setting boundaries for yourself, setting healthy boundaries for yourself. But before we get into the video, you already know we have to say our affirmations. And today's affirmation will be, I am always doing with no attachment to the outcome. Once again, I am always doing with no attachment to the outcome. Now, let's get right into it. So, as I said, the video is going to be on setting boundaries for yourself, and I feel like this is something that's extremely important, because a lot of times growing up, you might experience just always allowing your boundaries to be violated for different reasons. And so we're going to first get into what are the signs that you actually need to start setting boundaries for yourself, just in case you don't even know what that looks like. So the first sign will be constantly feeling overwhelmed or stressed by others and their demands, and just always, just feeling very worked up, Another sign will be resentment. So after, the constant of feeling stressed and overworked by others, you then begin to resent people. And a lot of times that builds up when you feel like you have been constantly taken advantage of. And trust me, baby, I know what that feels like. And you don't even want it to go there, okay? You just don't. And even if it does go there, you want to dial it down, okay? Another sign will be constantly saying yes when you don't feel called to. And I feel like a lot of people definitely struggle with this. I even speak to people who ask me sometimes, how do you say no even when you don't want to, without having to feel like you're being selfish, or, just feeling like you're wrong for saying no and putting yourself first before someone else's needs. And that is really one of the biggest signs when you know that you have to set boundaries. Another sign will be unwanted criticism or judgment that just makes you feel uncomfortable, especially when you ain't ask nobody, okay? Unwanted criticism and judgment can be very unhealthy for your well-being. And so you definitely have to put people, well, let me not say put people in their place, but know how to set boundaries where people know that it is not their place to say unwanted opinions that make you feel uncomfortable, okay? And another sign, last but not least, will be violation of personal space. And I feel like this is a huge one, because especially me growing up, I feel like, or maybe like, I don't know, men or women out there, let me know. But when I was growing up, my mom had this thing of violating my personal space. Maybe if I was changing or something, or if I was, in my room and I didn't have on clothes, not fully naked, but like maybe I had on just underpants and maybe a shirt or something. But I have skin showing that maybe I don't want to be seen. And your parents walking on you and be like, oh, I've seen that before. Or we're both girls. Or maybe with guys, like, oh, we're both guys. Like, it's okay for me to see that. And it's like, no, at the end of the day, you should always knock on the door or something. Because like, you just don't, it's not okay to invade someone's personal space, including even for your parents. I feel like parents have a habit of doing that consistently. So that is really another way that you know that you need to set boundaries. When you find yourself constantly being in situations where your personal space is being invaded. Now, before I get into how to set boundaries, I do want to say that there's nothing wrong with saying no, and there's nothing wrong with setting boundaries. And I know that if you the later you set boundaries, the harder it will be, especially when you're trying to set boundaries with people who are constantly used to crossing boundaries without you ever speaking up or saying something, and so to them it feels naturally normal to them. And to you, it can kind of make you feel like you're being selfish or you're being mean or you're being cruel, and you're not. Okay, setting boundaries simply means that you're loving yourself a little more today. And there's never anything wrong with loving yourself. There's never anything wrong with actually being a little selfish for the day, especially if you're a person who is constantly giving, constantly there for people, always saying yes. Like I said, one of the ways that you would know that you constantly have your boundaries crossed is when you're used to saying yes so much that you even say yes when you don't even feel called to and don't want to, but because at that point you feel obligated to, right? And you should never feel obligated to anyone. At the end of the day, let me tell you something. People don't really need you as much as you think they do, okay? And if you're not there to do it for them, they're going to find another way to get it done. Simple as that. Only person that needs you so bad is you. And I would hate for you not to stand up for yourself and be there for yourself because you are so used to your boundaries being crossed. And so you don't know how to love yourself more and more every single day just by simply setting boundaries and just being there for you, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't ever feel bad for loving yourself. You should love yourself, or no one else is going to know how to properly love you, okay? I love you. Now, let's get into some ways on how to set healthy boundaries. You want to express your needs, your wants, and your limits, okay? Be very assertive when you are communicating your boundaries, and you want to not be aggressive or even passive aggressive. You just want to be very clear cut and nice about it and be like, hey, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is how this makes me feel, and I hope you understand. Now, for a person who doesn't know how to express themselves sometimes without coming off a little snotty, which is myself, if you have that issue, I got you, okay? I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks on how to express yourself clear, cutthroat without being passive aggressive or just aggressive, okay? So, an example of, being very clear and honest about what you need as far as boundaries, what your needs, wants, and limits are, without being passive aggressive, is using I statements. Okay, so when you are expressing yourself, say the word I in the beginning of the sentence to express your needs and your wants. So for example, right, you would say, I feel discomfort when you do this, versus saying, you always make me feel uncomfortable when you do this. At that point, they're going to feel like you're trying to be rude and trying to accuse them of something, trying to, paint this bad picture for them or make them feel a way about, whatever that it may be, and have a reason to be defensive. And then that's how you also start to change the conversation, and it's no longer going to be about you, but it's going to be about how they feel. So you don't want to say things like, you always make me feel when you do this. You want to say, I feel this when you do this. I feel uncomfortable when you talk about certain subjects. I feel uncomfortable when you ask me certain questions. And that's a great way of being clear with your communication without sounding aggressive or passive aggressive. Also, when you are trying to communicate your needs, your wants, and your limits, you want to stay very calm in these situations, especially if you're dealing with a person who have a tendency of being aggressive no matter what route you take, and have a tendency of always being defensive. Even in these situations, you have to remember that it's about you and about your needs and your wants. But when people are aggressive to you and, they get rude or be defensive, at that point, that's not about you, right? And so in order to not even make this conversation about them and how they are feeling, you have to stay calm and you have to continue to just be relaxed. Be calm and relaxed. Don't allow what they're saying to get you all worked up. Even if you're having these conversations with this person and they're starting to get all fired up and loud and stuff, and if you're somebody like me, my heart starts to beat. When people start pissing me off, do some breath work. Be like, to bring it back. Because the moment that you even feed into how they are reacting to what you are saying, it's going to be a whole different conversation. And this is not what that's for. When you are trying to have a conversation with somebody about setting your boundaries, your needs, your wants, your limits, it shouldn't be an argument. It shouldn't be a debate. It shouldn't be, this conversation that conjures up negative energy right between two people in a space. It should simply be a simple understanding. And if people were so easygoing, it would be so much easier. But like I said, sometimes you're dealing with people who are so used to crossing your boundaries that they don't even understand at first exactly where you're coming from. And you have to understand that when you talk to these people, that they're not going to probably understand at first exactly where you're coming from. And so their reaction, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. So don't feed into it, because then that's when you make it about them. Okay? So, number 2, another way to set boundaries will be learning to say no. And not only learning to say no, but to remind yourself that when you do say no, that it's okay to say no. When you say no to somebody, when they ask you to do something or to show up for them and you don't feel called to, and you start to feel bad with yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and go, it's okay to say no. Okay, it's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to not be there for somebody every single time that they need you. Period. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, remind yourself that you are not doing a bad thing. You are not doing a bad deed. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad friend. It doesn't make you a bad partner. It doesn't make you a bad daughter or son, or whatever the case may be, whatever the relationship dynamic may be. It doesn't make you a bad person in any type of relationship, period. Okay, prioritizing yourself is just telling yourself, I love you today. Okay, more than I love the other person. Some days I feel like we love people more than we love ourselves. And you have to, some days, choose yourself. Say, I love you a little more today. And there's nothing wrong with that. Number 3 is, like I said, identifying your limits. Even before you have those conversations with people, that communication, that, this is what my limits are. These are my wants and my needs. Get a piece of paper, a pen, and jot down what your limits are. Reflect on your emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever it may be, limits. Okay? Pay attention to how your body feels in certain situations. Okay? Pay attention to how your body feels around certain people. Pay attention to how your body feels when certain conversations get brought up or when certain actions are being taken place. Take account how your body feels in those situations, any situation. And if your body begins to feel negative or alerted or anxiety or whatever it may be, that just doesn't make you feel comfortable, those are your limits. And you have to jot those things down. Keep those in a notepad or a paper, or maybe even in your phone. We always have our phones with us. I think almost every phone should have a notes app. And jot those things down to remind yourself that don't put yourself in these situations, because this is how you're going to feel. And we don't want to feel those ways. Okay? Number 4 is constant reinforcement. Now, I know this one is an annoying one. Okay? Because I know I hate repeating myself. Me repeating myself, if you ain't hear me the first time, I don't know. I'm the type of person, y'all. This video is even for me, because I'm the type of person, if I say it one time and you ain't hear me, if I gotta say it again, I ain't gonna say it again. You just ain't gonna hear from me again. It's just that simple. I'm a firm believer in cutting people off. Don't gotta set boundaries with old friends if you can get new ones. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Don't gotta set boundaries with old friends if you could just get new ones. Period. I'm just saying. Okay. But yes, reinforcements is very important, because unfortunately people are not going to get it the first time around. They're not going to get it the second time around. They're probably not even going to get it the third time around. They're probably not even going to get it the fourth time around. Who knows when they're going to get it? They're going to get it one day, but the chances of them getting it the first few times are very slim. Very slim chances. So don't even go into these conversations with people, and even if they understand it, everything goes smooth sailing, or maybe they don't understand and the conversation goes left, but they come back and they apologize. They go, you know what, I see where you're coming from, and I understand you, and I'm going to respect your boundaries. Don't think that that's going to be the last time y'all have that conversation, because you're going to disappoint yourself right there, and you're going to give up on setting boundaries. If you disappoint yourself thinking that all I do is gotta have this one conversation with them and that's gonna be done. No. Humans are a creature of habits. Okay? And some people, like I said, have a habit of treating people a certain type of way, which is why you have to teach people how to treat you. Because once they get in the habit of treating you a certain type of way, they're gonna feel comfortable and okay with treating you a certain type of way. It's just that simple. So that's why when you are trying to set boundaries in relationships, you know, especially the longer the relationship has been, it will be much harder in my eyes. You just have to understand that even if they fall back in line to what they used to do, which is crossing over certain boundaries, it's not even intentional. They are just being a creature of habit, and you just have to have the patience to remind them, hey, we had this conversation. This is where I draw the line. You're starting to cross it a little bit. I'm gonna need you to back up. Just plain and simple, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that if you got the patience for it. Because like I said, you don't got to set boundaries with old friends if you can just simply get new ones. And you can always get new friends, baby. A new friend, a new boyfriend, a new mama, for crying out loud. You can always... Anyways, let's move on. Last but not least, another great way to set boundaries is self-care, baby. Simply prioritizing yourself, okay? Simply even taking yourself out on small dates. And, you know, whatever you like to do, just being alone. And, you know, even if you don't necessarily, like, have to go out, but just, like, maybe sometimes turning your phone off and, you know, watching that movie you always wanted to watch, or that movie that you love to watch, getting some popcorn or some chips, maybe a bottle of wine, and just taking care of yourself. If you're a girl or a guy, like putting on a face mask, doing your hair, you know, just the little things to just show yourself that, you know, like, I love you a little more today. I'm loving you extra hard today because you deserve it. You know, you deserve for you to be there for yourself, period. Because if you're not even there for yourself, well, then who's going to be there for you? If you don't think to show up for yourself, who's going to think to show up for you? It's not how that works, baby. It's not, okay? And being there for yourself and giving yourself self-care is also knowing when to step back from situations when they are crossing your boundaries. Okay, like I said, when you have conversations with people about crossing and setting boundaries, when they do that, don't fall for it. Don't even be like, oh, like, I'll just let it go this one time. No. Self-care is stepping back and going, you cross that boundary, I'm gonna have to leave you alone with that, you know, because we had this conversation and I told you, if you do this, I can't be in this situation, or I can't accept this because it makes me uncomfortable. I can't do this because I need to do this today. Like, it could be a numerous of things. And like I said, just having that self-care for yourself is just going, I'm just going to step back. Okay, we're still cool, but it's just not today. Hit me tomorrow. Okay? Anyways, I hope you guys take something from this video. I love you, and I hope to see you next time. Bye. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.